YouTube, what is going on? Welcome to the second cast of the day for Osiris LiiG Season 3. That is right, in the past cast, we witnessed OV taking down C9, and you can see them right there, and OV right in here waiting for their opponent between HKL and 1AVG, who are about to duel it out. This side of the bracket is fairly done for now. Well, there's the one match we're still waiting for. HKL. Rose taking 411K out in UCS. Rose versus UCS being the 13 UTC match next week. But we are going to shift to the other side of the bracket as nobody's played here yet. And we are going to go look at one of the dark horses in this season. K374 going up against LiiG. While that goes on, both matches down here are gonna happen at the same time. JWM against 411S and BBTH against SNO will determine who's gonna be right down here, but we're gonna keep our eyes up on the top as 374 versus LiiG is going to be a fairly interesting match to keep our eyes on. 108 and 341 will be casted later in the day by Dragothian and Chiskel Gaming, so expect that. And today, at this cast, Chiskel is already on standby, ready to take us into the Osiris LiiG map, the Ark of Osiris map, once the time comes. We have a few moments until the match begins. Let's go take a quick peek at what both of these teams have done this season so far. And we can start it off with K374, who were SFS in the beginning of this arc and of this season. And they changed their name throughout it, kind of to put a screw in our head right here as to who they are. They were the ones who beat OV in a very, very insane turn of events. This was what kind of made OV a little bit unexpected in the past match and in general in this league. And they had a very solid win against MCO. They've won all three matches in their group. They were number one in their group, OV landing in second place. And they're going up against LiiG. LiiG, a strong team previously from the realm of Anubis last season. Them and the company of 411 and a few other alliances in this kingdom, in this realm, were in the previous realm, the realm of Anubis. These guys made it, I believe, all the way to the top 8, and from there they had a very, very hard time against, I believe it was 411K. But LiiG are coming in to settle the scores and put themselves once more in the top 8 and try to potentially make it out to the Osiris Invitational. Reminder, top 8 still don't make it to Osiris Invitational, but the winners of that, the top 4 alliances, will make it into Osiris Invitational. And trust me when I tell you, it's an event you definitely want to be part of if you're someone like LiiG or K374. LiiG lost very narrowly to C9N, but had fairly good wins against both Titans and 49F. And so we expect a very, very close match. In all of these matches going on, they are the closest alliances in terms of power. They have about 200 million power differential between the two of them, which is really insignificant compared to the 1 billion power differential here and the 1 billion power differential down here as well. And as well in here, the 900K differential, 900 million differential towards 1AVG against HKL. Lots of matches going on, and with that being said, we're about 4 seconds away from the match starting. In the comments right now, let me know, hashtag LiiG or hashtag 374. I know a lot of you out there from 374 watching the stream, so hopefully your team will put on a good show. Hopefully both teams will put on a good show. And with that being said, let's go into the field and start our cast and bring Chiskel in a moment.
What is going on, Governors? Chiskel here. I'm excited for this matchup. Ark of Osiris LiiG is often full of unexpected surprises, twists, and turns. And I honestly don't know what's going to happen in this matchup. I'm expecting really top-tier play from both teams, and there is a lot to be excited about in these matchups. Both teams have had incredibly impressive records throughout the duration of this season of Ark of Osiris LiiG. And man, I don't know, maybe I've been living under a rock, but it feels like the folks that are playing this matchup in blue, 374, kind of came out of nowhere. And as Gecko was describing, have been this dark horse performing incredibly well, fully undefeated throughout the tournament. So in this matchup, I'm looking forward to some pretty exciting stuff. I don't know, Gecko, what do you think we should be watching for during this match?
Honestly, I am looking right now at LiiG taking their time teleporting, and quite frankly, I love this. It doesn't mean that they don't have players ready to rock and roll. It doesn't mean that they're not going to be here a minute before the match begins. But what it does mean is that they have a teleport lineup in which folks are coming in based on a certain order. This is very important at top tier Osiris because you want to have your garrison captains and your rally leaders at that front row, and the way that is determined is based on your order of teleportation. So now more folks are starting to pour in as the critical individuals made it to the front, and within 33 seconds, the gates of hell will open up and the match will begin. It's a very big misconception that you have to instantly teleport, and Lord, we have to be here 3 minutes ahead of time. There's no point. It's okay to take your time and get the teleports in correctly, but of course, you want to make sure everybody's in before those 20 seconds end.
Yeah, I am pretty excited to watch the first part of the match. I mean, this is the part of the match where you can fully script what you're up to. So it should be perfect execution in 3, 2, 1, and the gates open. So now we get to see that perfect execution unfold, taking the 5 structures on their own side and then positioning forward. It seems like, Gecko, most teams make their way to the altar and make a big push through to the opposing Shrine of War in that lane that's right next to the Temple of Osiris. I really like that strategy. Do you think the teams are going to be using that today?
I am definitely muted. My apologies. I was saying that, thank you, Extreme Mitch. You got that. You got that. I was saying that I think that folks are not going to aim more at the Shrine of War, but rather towards the Desert Altar. Both teams tend to go hard on the offense for Desert Altar early on. So I'm looking to see more aggression there than the Shrine of War. I would honestly be very happy to see a Shrine of War aggression in the early stage, like you mentioned, because it would be something more innovative. I've yet to see someone go as hard for Shrines of War early on.
Yeah, I mean, what I have seen a number of teams do is they push up to their Desert Altar and through to the opposing side Shrine of War, swing around the back into the temple area. But let me tell you about what I saw earlier today that blew my mind. By the way, Obelisk's getting captured there at about the same time. What I saw earlier today that blew my mind was the opposite strategy. The team pushed for the Shrine of Life and then went in to swarm the enemy's obelisk.
Huh.
Which I had not seen. And it almost worked in one of the attempts. They technically got the obelisk. It was pretty impressive. So here we're moments away now. I'm a little surprised. LiiG has got both their obelisks, but they're missing a few of those outposts. Looks like they're going in and cleaning those up now. Usually you go and you get the outpost on your way over because you can get charged talents when you leave a structure using a mobility commander, which is a really nice boost to march speed. So I'm honestly a little concerned. Allow me to officially express a little concern for LiiG, who seems to be missing one of their outposts here.
Yes, sir. I definitely agree with that. And the thing about this is, as of right now, we're looking at the 374 obelisk because there's a sneaky march by LiiG trying to make its way here. This is a play that we've been seeing a lot this season. Folks, instead of just grabbing their obelisk and then dipping backwards, I see now LiiG back off of this play as soon as I was going to call it. I've been seeing a lot of these plays happening. These folks are taking the obelisk and then using the same march to try to sneak their way up to the enemy's obelisk and try to yoink it early on. In the early stage, it is potentially possible to get here, maybe. In the early stage, usually folks don't have a march inside the obelisk. They just tap it and then go back, and a rally comes in to refill the obelisk properly. But I've seen a couple tries of folks trying to sneak in an obelisk away from their enemy early stages. I've yet to see it work, But innovation, in my opinion, is always, always good. Even if it's a failed innovation, at least folks are trying. And that's a neat little thing. You did point out about those outposts, though. LiiG are going to have a slight point per minute lead deficit early on. Nothing terrible, but can't be having too many of those.
Yeah, it's a little bit inefficient, but probably not that big a deal in the kind of grand scheme of things. And you know, you are right that a T1 March can steal the enemy's obelisk if they have not adequately defended it. And we may or may not have done that ourselves. Like I may have watched that happen in my own Arc matches a couple times. It's pretty impressive. It's super real.
It looks like neither team is looking to go very aggressive in the early stages. By the looks of it, everybody's just defending their own buildings and staying backwards. LiiG posturing forward just a little bit, and not enough. There's not enough going on in here for an early siege. In 15 seconds, the buildings will open up, and each team will have their own buildings. Now, when we say that in a cast, what we mean is Ark of Osiris maps are a mirrored map. So when you see us say a red building is blue, it means that a building that is on the red side was occupied by the blue team and vice versa.
You know, I feel like we're watching both teams play defensive. I can't remember the last time I've seen a match where both teams play fully defensive, which means, Gecko, this is going to be an Arc game.
I agree.
This game is going to be all about the Arcs.
I definitely agree. There was an attempt on a yoink at the bottom on the LiiG Shrine of Life by K374, but those are two little marches against a heap of marches in a full Shrine of Life, so nice try, but that ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work this time. This is the first, I mean, have you seen an Osiris League match yet where no building is blinking in this early stage?
No, they're just like standing, waving, saying, hey, how are you? Nice to see you, shaking hands.
I know, right?
And
this is weird.
Well, we cordially invite you to meet at the Temple of Osiris area in 6 minutes.
I'm not so sure that's going to work really well, considering if both teams are doing this, it's a matter of who has the stronger commanders and who has the more tier 5s, and both of these teams are equal in terms of power. I would assume they're equal in terms of troops too, as both of them are from like 30-40 kingdom differential between the two. They should be on the same lineup of commanders. Neither of them should have an advantage commanders wise. So is this just gonna be, hey, let's go towards the middle and screw it? I mean, blue's already doing it 6 minutes before the arc. What the hell are we watching?
Yeah, no, this is a very strange way that this is unfolding, but at the same time, I mean, but both sides see that's what's happening. Neither side is playing aggression, so it's going to be about arcs. You may as well get there now. I think that's right.
Chisco, I'm going to have to interrupt you. There is a crazy thing going on the screen. An outpost is being swarmed by 2 marches, and an extra march is coming in to reinforce the outpost, and so it looks like the red team will hold on to their outpost
for a little bit longer. The 2 marches to 1 is pretty rough, and I'm pretty sure there's 2 commanders there that cut healing, and that's a Richard I, who desperately needs the healing.
I mean, LiiG are coming in hard for this outpost. Lord have mercy on this outpost. Hello? What are we watching, Chisco? Where's the aggression? Where are the rallies? There are 7 rallies, but wait, what?
I don't know. I do see a rally on a desert altar, but it's fully unsupported. There's 3 marches coming now, so it feels a little late. I mean, I'm certainly confused. I think this is going to be all about arcs.
Oh boy, what have we gotten ourselves into? This is only 11 minutes into the match, ladies and gentlemen. This thing could still turn on its head, and it's just a matter of one team trying to make the other one make the first mistake, potentially. We're seeing some good defense. Some of the things that I've mentioned as someone who protected Sky Altars solo in the past, when you get on a Tilt Takeda, you definitely want to make sure you have a Tamaris nearby to do some extra skill damage debuffs. You just keep hitting that march, and that's that. As soon as the rally is weak enough, like it has been weakened by that Tamaris debuff, by that Alex situation that was in there swarming it, once it's weak enough, you can just let the rally keep hitting and do its thing. And that's pretty much what LiiG did. On the other side, at the bottom, same thing. Sky Altar being contested by LiiG and 374 in trouble. LiiG swarming the heck out of this, plus a rally that died. But look, the rally hasn't died. Sorry, someone else died in there. But look at the defense. What's going on in this bottom Sky Altar, Chisco? Oh, boy.
Hanging on by a thread, Charles Martel looking for reinforcements desperately here. I don't know that any amount of reinforcements can handle what's happening there. And it does seem like LiiG noticed the lack of aggression and turned it up to 10 on aggression themselves. I can't believe 374 still hanging on march by march by a thread to this Sky Altar, as actually they're taking down the swarm.
Yes, sir. There goes the Charles Martel out the window. And now comes the change of hands. There goes a Sky Altar. Advantage for the red team for the first time. More blue buildings are blinking. The desert altar is secured. The blue team managed to secure their own desert altar. Their Shrine of Life is also taking a small beating. It seems like it's holding, but barely. The Sky Altar at the top, the red Sky Altar, also held very well against an Attila Takeda. The top obelisk is being hit too by a rally? Question mark, double question mark, and that rally goes out the window. Man, buildings started blinking all of a sudden, like super late. Advantage for the red team, though, 150 points per minute.
Yeah, I wonder if this is very intentional timing around when the arc's going to spawn in. But what I did notice, if you look in the temple area, and I see the blue team had about 1/3 more marches than the red team when this contest started. So I'll be very eager to see how this unfolds. That brawl in the middle is quite the battle.
Yeah, but it's a little bit too early if you ask me. There is 2 minutes until the arc pops. There is plenty of time for all of these frowny faces to go back home and even potentially, depending if this is someone who teleported or not, make it back in time to reinforce the middle. They will not make it back in time before the arc pops. But if the folks who are in the middle right now manage to slow down the arc, all those frowny faces are going to come back as full marches, and when they do, those who stayed behind as blue marches will not be as full as the folks in LiiG will be, and that will potentially cause an advantage. 374 need to take an opportunity there and take that arc quick before LiiG in red refill. And while that's going on, there's the 374 in blue are swarming the Sky Altar up on the top. Reinforcements coming in. I don't know if there's enough in here to hold on to the Sky Altar, and LiiG might be in trouble.
Yeah, they are holding on by a march to the Sky Altar. I like the YSS captain doing some work there, holding on with that chance to get a shield from the 4th skill, which is pretty impactful. I think they are going to hold this thing, though. I'm impressed with that, but I think it might just hold. In the center, I mean, it seems like both teams have gone back on that agreement that they had at the start to just sort of stare and wave at each other for the structures. Looks like they're going in on the structure capture plan now, which makes sense. LiiG up a little bit of points now, but that's going to even up pretty soon.
Yes, sir. And unfortunately for the folks in blue, they're going to have to wait a little bit longer until their Sky Altar that was taken away from them gets back into their full occupation, and then they get their 150 points per minute back. This gave LiiG a slight 450 point lead, and that's exactly what you want to be doing. And this is what I was talking about. If you take a look at the middle, 2 seconds before the arc pops, there is not enough red marches to stop the blue team at this point. LiiG are on their way here, but they're going to have to get somehow to slow down this arc carrier. The fight was too early. Blue team recognized that they can take out the guys in red very quickly and then get that arc carrier, clean the area just in the right time. And there was just nothing left in the tank for the red team to just stop this arc from moving while the reinforcements keep coming in. This is a freebie arc for 374, although look at what's coming from behind.
Well, you know, you pointed out that it seemed like they were making their way to the Temple of Osiris way too soon. However, it seems like 374 fully getting some edge by virtue of having gotten there early, gotten lots of people there in advance. Everybody knew what the plan was, had a lot of time. And by having more marches, they won the contest, and they're having a breakaway with this arc. Double C carrying at less than 50% health, which means he's probably got charge talents, extra 30% march speed. It's cruising.
Yes,
so
sir.
Do you think they hold this arc, or do they capture it?
I think they capture it. I think they've been strong enough in the arc in the middle department, and they've found a slight weakness in the timing of LiiG, where they should take this arc and maybe hold on to the next one. They are in a deficit of about 600 points. This will give them a 2,500 point lead, as this arc is 3,000 points. But again, I don't know if it was the fact that they were in there early enough, or if it was the 2020 middle strategy, which I've been talking about it in the past couple of casts. What folks have been doing is the middle team is not one team anymore. The middle team has turned into pods of players. So 2 players, 5 marches, which means 10 total marches, sync in the middle, and they both hit the same target. If you have 8 marches, 8 people, that is 4 pods of 2. You can essentially have 4 times 10 going into 4 different marches. And when you have 10 marches focusing the one march, you're going to destroy anything nearby. And it looks like that's what 374 did. The way you know they do it and how they do it is just look at the amount of frowny faces that always come home. You'll notice that they come in patterns. You all of a sudden see 3 or 4 frowny faces coming back at the same time. That is exactly that. It's the pods doing their work, and that's how you clear the middle in 2020. It's not a brawl anymore like it really looks.
Good insight about focusing down targets and how effective that can be. I agree with you. Man, if you can get everybody to find the same target in that mess, it will drop pretty quickly. A lot of rallies cruising through now.
Yes, sir. Buildings, red buildings, all of them are blinking, and it looks like the Desert Altar will be secured. The Shrine of Life is still taking some damage, and there is a Scipio on that wall at the bottom.
CPO squad, baby. CPO squad defending. I mean, you know, sometimes just use what you got, and if you got a CPO, I guess that's the garrison captain. On the topic of garrison captains, Gecko, while we're here, do these kingdoms have access to Zenobia?
No, they do not. They
do not.
Yet.
So what do you think about the different garrison captain options with the YSS Theodora? We see a good amount of Charles Martel Theodora being used in this matchup. Do you have any personal thoughts on that? Which one's more effective, what you've seen working?
I do, but in a very quick, in a second, I'll answer your question, because 374 took an altar away from LiiG. Blue team now taking the commanding lead in terms of points per minute. They also indeed delivered the arc like we called it earlier. The red team is trying to do something in return, but they're just not able to do anything. Their response was, we'll take an outpost away from you, and we're going to try to hold on to our Shrine of War for dear life. Blue team is still smashing into this Shrine of Life, which is now at the bottom. It finally has the Wuzetian, but it feels like too little too late, as the rally is fairly decently healthy. There's a swarm hitting the building, and that building is going down, and there it goes. At least LiiG pick up their Sky Altar back very quickly up on the top. When it comes to garrison, the unfortunate truth is that infantry has come back into being the garrison lead. I have seen multiple YSS and Theodora doing a good job, but I honestly think that Charles Martel and Theodora have still been performing at a much higher level, if we're not talking Zenobia. Primarily because a lot of folks just think that it's okay because it's a leadership commander. I'm just gonna dump whatever types of commanders there are in there, types of troops in there, and it's just not the case. I am a big fan of the Charles Martel Theodora. I'm actually a big fan also of Artemisia YSG full archers over a YSS Theodora, just because if you don't educate the folks who are reinforcing on exactly what to reinforce, a lot of people think it's okay to just reinforce with anything.
Yeah, it's funny how really equipment changed the equation on that, because if your leadership commanders are fully decked out with infantry equipment and someone brings cavalry, I mean, you're missing a full like 30 to 60% of stats depending on the quality of someone's gear.
Yep, exactly. I definitely agree. So buildings are turning blue all over the place, and now they're trying to take a Desert Altar away from LiiG. 374 are not going to take this, which curiously enough, this is a Theodora YSS rather than a YSS Theodora. We've seen those a little bit too. There was a blinking LiiG obelisk, which it wasn't supposed to be a thing. LiiG trying to take their Sky Altar back, which they've lost for about a minute now. So that's 150 points out the window for them and another 450 points that they're not going to get. So 600 points out the window for the team in red. And the lead is starting to grow. The team in blue with 230 points per minute every single minute and a 3,000 point lead, which is that arc. LiiG are going to have to wake up. 38 minutes remaining in the match is plenty of time, but they're going to have to step it up and step it up big time.
Yeah, I think you're spot on there. A minute ago, if you were looking at the map, you would say, man, the folks in blue are just dominating this map in terms of the structure game. And you can see that reflected in the points per minute now. 560 per minute for blue, 330 per minute for red. And although red has captured their structures back, it's going to be 3 minutes before they start getting those points. So if blue is going to win the structure game and the arc game, I think LiiG is going to have some huge problems as they're already starting to coalesce in the middle. And the funny thing is that yet again, blue has about 1/3 more marches in the middle.
Yes, sir. But look at the Shrine of War going down for the team in blue. Red team now holding on to the blue Shrine of War. This means 10% extra attack and defense goes to the team in red, as each of these buildings is worth 5% a pop. When both of them are in one team, that one team gets the buff for themselves. So that 1/3 marches in the middle might not really be enough. I can tell you this. The folks in blue are posturing forward big time. They're trying to make sure that they own the Temple of Osiris. The folks in red have only one option. They either go head to head into the middle and, hope and pray that something works and win the aggressive fight, or they make sure they punish the team in blue for being so focused in the middle. What the team in blue has been doing is the exact playbook. They need to get the points per minute lead, and then they need to dip on the points per minute lead, go back into the middle. It's okay to lose a couple of buildings if they can take the arc and be in a deficit in points per minute for 2-3 minutes. It'll definitely be worth it. So they keep doing this. They take the lead in points per minute, go to the middle, take care of the middle, and then go back to taking care of buildings. Very impressive stuff out of 374, an alliance that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, so we're talking about garrison captains. We're watching a Charles Martel, but there's actually Richard I garrisoning in multiple positions on this map right now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a commander that is very much countered by a lot of other commanders, however, reigned as one of the very best, in fact, garrison captains for Ark of Osiris for a long time.
And he could still be, I can tell you that in Osiris League Season 2, with JWM2, we made it to the top 4, garrisoning with Richard, Julius Caesar, and it worked out surprisingly well. And, obviously things have changed. People are a little more alert to it. They're sending the correct troops. If you bring a Saladin in a nice little Archer March with Tamaris in the mix, like we're seeing in the Desert Altar up on the top, I mean, that Richard can be as buffed up as he wants. He stands no chance. But again, when you take care of the Swarm first in that kind of scenario and then tap a little bit Wolves Tel Takeda, this Richard is holding. And it seems like he's going to be holding the Desert Altar very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, the healing is pretty fierce. And it's funny, in Ark of Osiris, you kind of want to, beat the enemy marches. But when you're defending, you don't care about beating the enemy marches as much as you care about holding the structure for as long as you possibly can. And that Richard does that very well.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I definitely agree. The brawl in the middle is real. By the looks of it, the red team seems to be a little bit ahead from what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing a lot of reds and very few blue, but they could be all stacked up on each other, which is why I don't see it. But so far, so good. It looks like the red team has shown up to the middle with 30 seconds remaining. They're now trying to do something about the blue folks in here, and they have had the buffs up until this point. So as you can see, take a look at the frownies, and you'll notice how they go out in pods. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how you know these guys are dividing and conquering. Now, one of the comments you said is if you can click the right march, it would be awesome. This is why folks are dividing into two. When you don't have everybody going towards the one march, then two people get to coordinate a little bit better. The way that I've heard from different alliances that they do this is that they essentially, once the middle fight starts happening, only middle team speaks in the Discord for a little bit. And that way, one of the two is in charge of selecting the target, and the second one is in charge of listening and doing it. So 4 people are the only ones talking for a moment or two while you clear the middle. Look at the map, though. It's slowly turning red. LiiG taking the points per minute lead, which is really what they need right now. And a bunch of buildings are blinking.
Yeah, while 374 makes a little breakaway with the arc there. Starts to bring it back toward their side.
Yep, but the arc carrier got dropped instantly, and now, I mean, there is a little bit of a room there gained by 374, but it doesn't seem like anyone's around here to do too much damage for the folks in red.
There it is, 374 with the quick hands again, taking that arc toward their side of the map. I think Blue's got this. They've got such control of the temple area. I mean, it's honestly astonishing if I zoom way out. They just have so many more marches than red does.
Yes, they do. They are prioritizing that middle quite heavy, and this is what we're talking about. They took the points per minute lead. They prioritized the middle. They lost the points per minute lead. They've lost a bunch of their buildings in the process. They've actually taken a Shrine of Life away from LiiG, which now took it back. But it's that same play. It's the same exact play. Take the points per minute lead, go to the middle, sacrifice the points per minute lead for a few moments, get that arc done with, and then go back to evening out the points per minute and then take them on again. LiiG are just getting caught completely off guard. Look, there's no more red marches in the middle. It's over.
Yeah, I mean, it feels sort of like LiiG is off cycle somehow from the rotation that 374 seems to be doing, because they either need to capitalize on the fact that 374 is overcommitted to the middle, or they need to contest better. And what we're seeing is they're fully overrun in the middle, like 100% fully overrun. It's actually unusual to see a team fully overrun in the middle, right? Like normally it's much more of a battle for the arc all the way to the structure, but it seems like 374 literally clears out every single march. It's very unusual.
I am starting to think that LiiG don't have everybody here or something. Listen, I'm not seeing a lot of red marches anywhere. I'm seeing people chilling next to the desert altar for 374. I'm seeing 374 aggressively going towards the Shrine of Life at the bottom consistently. I see a little bit of marches going towards the Shrine of War repeatedly of 374 and LiiG trying to take it, but they're just not able to get it done. Look at the swarm that Shrine of War just held by itself with a Charles Martel Theodora. And I mean, LiiG keep getting dragged back into trying to get their Shrine of Life. Like this is what is this? You cannot hold onto a building that they consistently keep progressing into, and we keep seeing LiiG just backpedaling again and again towards the Shrine of Life. I don't know what to tell you. I'm seeing way too many blue marches all over the place, and I'm not seeing any reds. Nowhere.
Now, wait a minute. Did you see that use of Insatiable Desire by 374?
I have seen that happen before. Some folks are really keen on that provisioning. That's not a bad thing. Especially if you're winning the arc game, you're winning the buildings game, you're winning everything game. You just want to win the provisions too. Why not?
Oh my gosh.
I know you
dedicating
don't like
extra energy to provisioning. Wacky,
and yet we are here casting, and they're on the field playing the top 16 and on their way to top 8 of Osiris LiiG. So I don't know, man. If they're there and we're here, they're doing something right.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be working. What I find just so remarkable is that they're really winning both sides of the equation here. The structure game and also the art game. And, it's not like they're dominating the structure game, just by enough that it seems like LiiG is really struggling to catch up on points.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. It looks like there's a red march, big march going towards the top desert altar, as this is an 8,000 point game at this stage, and the points per minute game evened out. 30 minutes remaining. I would not turn off the lights just yet. There is half a match still remaining. But LiiG need to figure out how they're stepping up their game immediately and not allowing the blue team to take the 374 blue team to take the points per minute lead as they have been doing and then go into the middle. They have to break that cycle. If LiiG manage to go into the middle with the points per minute lead, they will have potentially the capability in terms of power to maybe get an arc and close this 7,000 point lead. We'll call it 760, something like that, 7,000 point lead. I'm tired, chat. It is what it is. They'll drop it down to about half of that, with more than that, to 3,000 points with the next arc, and that is provisioning territory. 3,000 point differential can be closed with provisioning, but it still is going to require a boatload of work. Have you seen the Mulans all over the place, by the way?
I have.
I love it.
A lot of Mulan use by 374. I actually made a video about this recently, about how insanely good the Mulan buff is. 20% of all stats for 3 seconds when expertise, plus 30% march speed too. Honestly astonishing. What are your thoughts on how Mulan has changed the game here, Gecko?
I think that Mulan has not. She's a weird thing, right? Because on the one hand, you don't want to invest sculptures into her because you're like, yeah, but the gold keys, but it's like it's a waste and all that. On the other hand, folks have been doing it because she has been very, very, very substantial in Ark of Osiris as well as everywhere else. You'll notice the Mulan, in case you don't know what we're talking about. Whenever you see a pink circle on the ground, that is a Mulan triggering her skill. We have one up here with this Saladin, and there was one more that backed off from a 374K. It looks like the major LiiG siege on this desert altar was majorly squashed. The rally is about to die. The building is barely yellow. The swarm is just destroying everything in its path. 374 has all the right people and all the right quantities in the right place in the right time, and they're even going after LiiG buildings while they're defending their own desert altar. Let's look if this Shrine of Life is still being contested again. This time there's a little bit of defense down here. I don't know. LiiG posturing towards the middle. Look at the middle. 4 minutes and 50 seconds. And I mean, this is mega early, but oh my lordy. Look at blue, look at red. The middle is just stacking up.
Yeah, they know they have to get the arc, and they don't want to be out of position to get it, right? Like, if you're late relative to the other team, then you have to fight through all those marches to get into position. So it's a real problem to be late. So blue, interestingly, knows that red has to get the arc. So they go early, and that forces red to get in position. Otherwise, blue could be positioned so far forward that red could never get there in time. You see what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it forces red to have to go sooner than they would, which means they can't focus on the building game, which they also have to do to get this arc. It's actually genius.
I agree. Blue are forcing the hand of the team in red, and we talked about this many a times in casts in the past. For the last 2 seasons, we've talked about it consistently. It's about action and reaction. If you get the other team to consistently react to your actions, you are in control of the game. I have yet to use my happy analogy. The team in blue has the wheel. They're in the driver's seat right now, and the team in red don't even know what the driver's seat looks like at this point, let alone the wheel. And look at that. Blue forces the hand of red to aggress right now. 3 minutes before the arc. This might be maybe a little bit early, but at the same time, as you said, it forces a reaction out of LiiG, who might say, wait, this is a bit early, and not even notice that this is going down. By the time they figured out what's going on, some marches are backing out because they don't want to be fighting this early, and now they're going back in because they have no choice. Blue team is just pushing down at them. This is action and reaction. We were just talking about it. The red team is being forced again to react upon a blue action. And oh my goodness, this is bad. This is really bad for the team in red.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like we've watched 3 cycles of literally the exact same thing, where 374 decides what's happening, and LiiG is reacting, but not strongly enough. And so after the first arc, right, like something had to change. And it's very hard to change your plan mid-game, by the way. it's extremely, extremely difficult to change the way a team plays mid-game. Like, you'd think it would be easy, and it's just really not. It's like, it's incredibly difficult. I've only seen one team dramatically change mid-game, and that's actually OV, a former Ark of Osiris League champion from Season 1. So something's got to change about what LiiG is doing, about their timing, about where all their marches are, in a way that gets them these buildings when 374 makes this big push in the middle, or enables them to actually get the Ark for this push. And I'm pretty concerned that what we're about to see in 2 to 3 minutes time from now is blue fully controlling the middle. And that is going to push this match even further in the direction of 374.
I'm not going to lie to you. A 10,500 point difference. The red team does have the point per minute lead at this stage, which is what they wanted. But they got pushed into having to fight for the middle where they didn't necessarily plan to. And you shouldn't fear it. That's exactly what's happening. The blue team will take the middle. Now, red is trying to still reposition and push the fight closer to the Temple of Osiris rather than on their side of the field. But while they march, the blue team is going to keep chunking them down. And honestly, I don't know what else we can say about this match. I really don't. I truly am not a person who believes that there's no way to come back out of any situation. But it's just like you said, no team has been able to still have a mid-game adapting scenario. This is essentially mid-game calls need to happen that completely close out the... At some point you say, okay, our strategy went out the window. We need to make some mid-round calls to what we're going to do. I have, as you said, only OV is a team that I would say that truly managed to change their mid-game calls, mid-round calls. I mean, the Ark is going to get taken by the blue team by the looks of it. They're going to take another 4,000 points. They're in the lead by 10,400 points or something like that. It's going to go up to 15,000, and I mean, bigger blowout than that, I don't see it coming back. I really don't. 21 minutes remaining in the match.
Yeah, I mean, I think the best case scenario is to be the team that's setting the pace. The next best thing is to be able to react as a team to what another team is doing, which is very hard. And like we said, very few teams we've seen pull that off successfully. And it's a tough situation to be in when the strategy your team has is not working against what the other team is doing.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I absolutely agree. In the meantime, while the middle is going down, I'm not even paying attention to it because guess what? Blue team has the Ark, and guess what? They're just breaking away with it. Wolf keeps just rallying this Desert Altar without anything and anyone helping them. And this is another issue, right? At this point, Wolf is just rallying the building to rally it. He hasn't taken it a single time. He has no open field reinforcements. The commander pairings in here are capable of taking the Zatella Takeda out by themselves. By the looks of it, they're very well protected. And so, how many people fill a rally? Let's say 310,000 marches, which would mean 5 Desert Altar rally is 1,500. So 5 marches, call it 4.5, are doing nothing. They're just hitting a building without any open field reinforcement, without achieving absolutely anything. And granted, there goes your insatiable desire again by LiiG this time. Granted, 374 are doing the same thing, right? They filled a building, but they are achieving something. They're defending their building. That's the achievement they're looking to have with those marches. I don't know. I don't think has LiiG taken a single building away from the team in blue, with the exception of that Sky Altar in the beginning at the bottom. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I mean, it is interesting that 374. I mean, they're clearly playing an Ark game rather than a structure game trying to take altars, and it's working really well.
Yep, I definitely agree. I mean, what else can be said? They are taking structures. That's the problem. The problem for LiiG is that they're not taking structures. 374 is playing the Ark game and also winning the structure game. So, what do you want to do? Insatiable desire away all you want. There is not enough desire in there for you to win and get the points in. For the team in blue, submitting this Ark right now is a must. I mean, why wouldn't they? They're going to get another one anyway.
Yeah, so, I really like the way 374 is controlling the pace of this. And I wonder if part of what they're acknowledging in their strategy is just that defense is so much easier than offense. In other words, if the attackers don't swarm like crazy with a rally, which is actually very hard to deal with, then they can put a whole lot of troops other places and not worry too much about their structures. And that seems to be working.
It looks like they listened to me, and they're like, yeah, we're going to make sure Gecko's wrong on this cast. So they definitely took that arc and said, all right, we're just going to keep it. We're going to take it to our side and just chill with it for a little bit longer. We don't want another arc. And they can easily get rid of another arc. 18 minutes remaining and 11 minutes on this arc means for 374, honestly, allowing the folks in LiiG to pick up the arc would be a massive 200 IQ play. Why is that? When LiiG pick up the arc, if they do, the timer on the top left resets to 15 minutes. And can you honestly tell me that LiiG taking this arc will be able to do anything with it right now? Absolutely not. All it'll do is it'll reset the timer for the blue team, which will allow them to even further take their time submitting this arc. And I mean, 18 minutes remaining in the match. If they hold on to it for another 10 minutes, that's the last arc of the game.
Yeah. I think if you are 374, you like the idea of holding on to the arc rather than scoring it now, because they must be feeling like they can't possibly lose if they have the arc and they've got the lead that they have. So I like the idea of holding it rather than scoring it. And you can see that the timer actually picks up right where it left off. So it's 10 minutes, 46 seconds left on the timer, which is kind of interesting.
That's if the same team picks it up. If the red team would have picked it up, then it would have reset. And then they could have picked it up again. That's why I was saying, like, I would have let the red team pick it up.
Just let red pick it up?
Yeah,
That's
let
really
red pick
funny.
it up to reset the timer.
Here you go. Yeah, and here you go. Oh, you get the arc.
You can get the arc. Oh, wait. It's kind of like those, like, you give them. It's like, oh, you pull it out right away, out off of their feet real quick. I mean, there's no reason at this point. Like, what are they going to do? Let them pick up the arc, let the timer reset, kill the arc carrier, kill the rest of these marches, and hold on to the arc till the end of the game. They can literally do that at this stage. Allow the red team to just pick it up. Let's see if they do that. Nope. They are adamant on picking up that arc. The blue team is in love with the gold, man. They want the gold of that arc. It's so shiny and nice. They're not gonna let them pick it up. I wonder if that's the 77 I know in 374. Huh. But look at LiiG. They're trying to be sneaky. Wolf and Avid or something, I7 Avid or something like that. We're going towards the obelisk to try to take the obelisk away, the blue obelisk. I mean, in a hypothetical scenario, okay, where the arc by some dumb mistake and lag or whatever you want to call it, let's pretend that the red team managed to score this arc. There is a big mistake by 374. That's impossible at this point, but...
well, hold on. You say that's impossible, but literally the match I cast at 1300, that almost happened.
So almost is the keyword, right? Like, I'm saying
Yeah,
impossible.
but
I'm saying impossible with the hopes and praise of
like-
jinxing it. I'm not
But
gonna
like
lie
the
to you.
opposing team took the obelisk, the arc was down. It was so close. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, that's...
I'm just saying it could happen.
Let's go with the hypothetical that it does happen. We're talking 6,000 point differential between the two teams, and
Yeah, it's not enough.
there's the rally on that obelisk. So I mean, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen right there. If nobody's defending that obelisk, that's a full Attila Takeda in it. But there is a defense in there. A defense.
Richard the First.
Richard the First, indeed.
Wow. Dude, look at this.
How much you want to bet he has either a Charles Martel or Charles Martel behind him? So that makes a little bit of sense. And look at how well it's holding.
I think it might be Richard Theodora, actually.
Is it
Yeah.
Theodora this time?
Yeah, there's a Richard Theodora.
Oh my
Dude.
goodness.
Look at 374 making Richard cool again. Where are the MLG shades when you need them?
Oh yeah, I mean, they're making it cool, but at the same time, right, there's a huge swarm with the Teltakedas and a bunch of Saladins and Guans and all that destroying that rally, right? So let's give credit where credit is due. That Richard has been holding on buildings for 374. Honestly, top 8 holding with 374. Look at that. They reset the arc. Look at the timer. They allowed the arc reset to happen, and now they can hold on to it forever and ever. For all they care, they can let it go. They can just not even pick it up. There won't be even enough time to get back to it. They did do the reset, so very good play by the team in blue. And now I mean, all they were doing is gaining points. There's nothing here to be fought for. The red team does pick up the Sky Altar at the bottom, and they do own the points per minute lead for the first time in a while with 140 points per minute in their favor. But 14 minutes remaining. We know both teams have been using Insatiable Desire, so they're both got provisioning. Look at this bastard up here trying to hit a Gatherer away from a Gathering tile. Puggy, if you don't get out of that tile in your March... the March is not dying. That March is actually doing stupendous damage onto this.
What is happening right now?
What am I watching? Is this a Puggy is just like, I'm not about that life. Those two.
He actually finished the gathering. He
finished
completed gathering.
He just kept doing his
which is
thing.
why it went away.
Look at 374. They're about to just hold on to this arc till the end of the game. They're just going way, way back and just chilling. Spoiler alert for those of you who have not gone through this before. If you get killed on top of a provisioning tile, all of your provisioning goes out the window. You can allow your March to die, all is good, but you want to get out of the provisioning tile and only then get killed. That way those provision points do count. If you die while gathering, while on the tile, all the provisioning you did, including of previous tiles that you finished, by the way, all go down to the garbage. So you got to keep an eye on that. I would know. You know what I'm saying? Farmer Gecko here to give us farming tips.
Nice. Farmer Gecko. Oh my. I mean, look, I do like that LiiG is holding 3 altars right now. I don't know how much longer they're going to be holding 3 altars. It looks like the Sky Altar is under pretty heavy pressure by blue.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they need. But they need another altar. They need every structure on the map. I mean,
yes,
they need a lot to make up the 10,000 point deficit plus the arc.
But hey, now it's ticking for points for them, so that's a good thing. They've not only taken the Sky Altar, it's now also giving them points, putting them at 320 points per minute, which is not bad. It'll give him 3,200 points still by the end of this match, but they changed garrison captains, and hopefully they changed also the marches in there. There's a lot of open field presence here by LiiG. They can continually keep refilling this building and potentially go from there. Even here at 300 points per minute in favor of the team in red, realistically, the arc is moments away from being delivered. I guess they decided they're going to deliver it anyway instead of just holding on to it, which is okay.
I think that's smart.
I would wait another minute or two to ensure that another one doesn't come out.
Yeah, I agree.
Realistically, there is a possibility of a 4th arc, and in theory, the red team could, in theory, take it, or any team if it's a quick pickup. They got to be careful, though, because red is still not giving up on this arc. They are 9,000 points, 9,500 point difference between them, so they close that gap a little bit, and that gap is going to close quick. Here's the deal. With 3,000 points, that goes down to 6,000 points. With this arc, it goes down to 2,000 points. And then LiiG might find themselves, or their provisioners are doing stupendous amount of work. So LiiG have to be a little, there it is. The escort happens. That secures the victory. That was the last nail in the coffin. If that didn't happen and somehow LiiG got that arc, I mean, we're talking about a potential 2,000 point differential, and there's still one more arc to go.
Yeah. How much time is there left? 7 minutes, 54 seconds before the arc. Okay, so technically there might be enough time to score an arc with like a perfect uninterrupted carry. Seems pretty unlikely to me that any team will get that.
Even at that point, blue team can give it up all they want. They can give the arc for free. That's going to be a 4,500 point arc. What's it going to do? It's going to put the folks in red only 9,000 points difference, and I don't think there's enough provisioning in the world to get that done. I can admit when provisioning is not a factor anymore. It could have been. Not in here. Absolutely not in here. 374 are about to lose the sky altar they took away from LiiG. They evened up the points per minute game by doing that, and now LiiG took their building back, but 440. LiiG are trying to take a desert altar away from 374, but at this stage, I don't know, man. It's all but done as far as I'm concerned. With 9 minutes remaining, what else can be said?
Well, we can get a look at some of what's being used in the garrison here. I saw a Constantine, which was kind of interesting to see. As we cruise around, I see you're looking at the Sky altar.
We drop down
Guan.
to the bottom desert altar now. Curiously enough, another Richard. Huh.
What is going on with all these Richards? I thought the healing being countered was an issue, and they're using Richard without Theodora in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm. I'm telling you, people are sleeping on these marches. The folks in 374 seem to have found something that works really well for them. I'm not so sure that a more coordinated attack is not gonna destroy 374's defense, but LiiG don't seem to be the team that'll break them up. 4 altars are blue, 3 of them are blinking, but still 4 altars are blue. Another insatiable desire by LiiG. I have a feeling they think that 20,000 points are going to come home right now from their provisioners. I don't know, man. 12,000, 13,000 point almost differential is going to require LiiG to maybe like spawn extra caravans and like have 7th and 8th marches per person to maybe close that gap. The desert altar at the bottom is going down as predicted. Too many around here. That's how it should be. 1 building reoccupied and secured, but the damage is being done already. 290 to 440 points per minute. What else can we say? There's nothing that can be said. It's just it is what it is.
So if you are in red and there's 7 minutes left, do you like send 3 marches to provision? Like, what do you do to get more points?
You don't.
Because getting structures isn't going to do it, right?
Nope. But so isn't provisioning.
What's the best way to get points at the tail end of a match like this if you don't think you're going to take their structures to disrupt them and they're not going to take yours?
The problem is, if you're going to start going straight provisions, what's going to happen is they're just going to murk your buildings and then go after your provisioners, right? There is no way to defend the provisioners if the buildings are lost. The next target are the provisioners. Remember that to provision, you also got to march to the tile and then back. If there were tiles to provision all around that were like a second away, kind of like the one we're seeing right here next to Wolf, there is one like super close that is full. You could potentially, as Wolf, send a 1 march here, try to get points. At 7 minutes, there's nothing left you can do. Those 7 minutes is what you're going to need to bring the marches back home from provisioning. Is going to be, there's just not enough. Now, LiiG are posturing towards the middle much earlier than the folks in 374, but 374 are on their way here too. Too little, too late. At 7 minutes remaining, it's all a matter of bringing the marches home that are provisioning. Maybe send a couple of them out to catch an extra few marches here and there. Oh, man. Oh, man. I wonder if Puggy is the same Puggy that was with me in Osiris LiiG last season. I don't know if this is the same crew. I see A-Pink and I see Puggy, and they are ex-JWM2 members. So, and 77, I think, is in here as well. I'm not so sure. If that's the case, then this is a good portion of JWM2 in the form of 374, which would answer a little bit of the garrison situation in with Richards. Because now that I'm looking, like I'm actually looking at the names, and these guys seem mighty familiar.
Mighty familiar as in they're big fans of using Richard, or...
As if they were in Osiris Invitational last season with me and us in JWM2, and then they migrated out of Kingdom 59. And
so where did 374 come from? A little bit of former Kingdom 59 going on?
I think so. I definitely think so. I think there's a little bit of the team that is some of the experienced players from Kingdom 59 that were in JWM2, and some of the 374 locals that were able to intake essentially the experience that some of these players brought on board. I was talking about it on stream yesterday. It's kind of like in regular sports, right? If you have a player who made it to the Champions League final or to the Champions League final or to the Major League World Series or to the Super Bowl, those players have that extra experience that is very unique. You cannot recreate it. And so if you have a player like that in your team, you can absolutely completely absorb a lot of things that you cannot otherwise. And so if these folks are ex-JWM2 folks who have been at the pressure of top 4 and Osiris Invitational, and there were locals in there that were willing to absorb the experience and learn out of it, that's a killer combination, and we're seeing it in 374.
Yeah. Man, I mean, it's really awesome when a small number of players, or even a moderately sized group of players, can elevate the rest of the team and really bring everybody up and skill everybody up. Very impressive performance by 374. 1 minute and 10 seconds till the arc spawns in. 3 minutes and 50 seconds till the match ends. Barely enough time to capture an arc. Sure.
Apparently, according to the chat, SNO are about to smash BBTH.
Yeah, I saw that in the chat. I was a little bit surprised.
I am very surprised.
Underdog victories all over the place.
I wouldn't have been able to call SNO on BBTH, I can tell you that much, but I could have definitely told you that Rose are not a team to mess with. And 411K, a big part of the 411K team is not that you saw in the past, are not there anymore. As a matter of fact, a big chunk of them are in BBTH. They're, again, ex-JWM members I know that were in 411K in the beginning of what went down in there, and now they are in BBTH. And so 2K point lead from the last arc capture, but provisions are still to be considered, said Cursed, letting us know about the match happening right on the other side on this field, but in a different universe, in the multiverse. There is a different set of teams doing this. Arc of Osiris appears.
Well, just to read off the scores of some of the other matches that are about to conclude. JWM at 40.5K to 26.3K for 411S. BBTH at 32.6 to the 33.1 of Snow. So that match is super close. And HKL 38 to 28 over 1AVG. Wow.
Well, unfortunately for our friends in 1AVG and Dragothian himself, that score was a little bit more predictable than the rest of them, a little bit. But, I mean, SNO have a chance to potentially take out BBTH. That's very close, as you said. Provisions are still in play in here. 374 once more take the arc with a 2 minute remaining. Essentially, if they just hold on to it at this stage, it's over. And they are holding on to it. There's about, I believe you need like a minute and 30 seconds, give or take. Cursed said 1AVG only 1K point differential. I don't believe that's the case. Are you sure it was 28 against 38, Jiskel?
Yes.
So it's 10K points, not 1 point. No K point. Okay. Thank you for that. Just making sure we maintain the stream as aware of what's going on as possible. Looks like this is, well, it has been GG for the folks in blue for a little while, but the folks here in the chat, let's get a GG spam in the air as there's a minute remaining for both teams, and congratulate the folks of 374. With a minute remaining, really, we can absolutely call it, but as a Rise of Kingdoms community, we'll still get that GG up in the air for both teams for a great performance, a top 16 placement for LiiG. This is the end of the road for them. We will not be seeing them in the Osiris Invitational, and 374 looking to make another appearance in Osiris Invitational. And let me tell you something, that skin is mighty, oh mighty. That only infantry 10% skin in the game came out of that. So my friends from JWM2 are making their way to potentially a second Osiris Invitational skin. I'm highly jealous.
Yeah, really impressive gameplay by everybody here. The experience really showing itself. Honestly, great to watch. I personally have learned a lot from this Arc of Osiris match, and that's from both teams. Really impressive gameplay. So really appreciate having the opportunity to cast this matchup and showcase their doing work in the Arc of Osiris.
I definitely agree. As they are spamming a little bit of thumbs up for the stream, I'm fairly confident they're aware that we're streaming them, and they're spamming those emotes, and there comes the defeat. Let's go look at the final stats and see what goes on, what went down in this match. Chisco, want to break down these stats for us?
Sure. So what stands out to me is that the open field is relatively even. Mm-hmm. The kills and sevs is about the same. The healing is higher for LiiG, but that's not a massive amount of healing that took place. it's really just all about the arc captures. That's it. It's an arc game. 374 went all in on the arc, and it worked every single time.
I think it's also worth noticing that the occupation score went in their favor by a slight 500 points, but it did. And the provisioning by another 1,500 points. 9,000 point worth of provisioning is the highest score I've seen in Osiris LiiG to date. It shows that they're not only, if they're winning the occupation game and they're winning the arcs, and on top of that, they're provisioning. You know, it's not necessarily, of course, credit goes to them, 100%, but it's not only credit goes to them, but also it seems like LiiG were a little bit off today. Because if you told me, you know, they lost in arc, but they did okay in occupation, they were fairly close in provisions, then it's like one team was playing better than the other. But in this case, it's not only that one team is playing better than the other, but also one team is struggling more than the other, which the combination caused this right here.
Yeah, a really impressive score for 374.
Any final thoughts, Jiskel, before we go back to show what went down in the rest of the matches and conclude this cast?
No, I really enjoyed the opportunity to cast this match of 374 versus LiiG. Best of luck to both teams and what comes next for them, and look forward to